Realizing their fate, many German soldiers now wrote letters to their families.
We are men who know how to bear everything. The main thing is that you and the children are all right. Don't worry about me. Nothing can happen to me any longer. Today, I have made my peace with God. I give you all my love and 1,000 kisses. I love you to my last breath.
Six weeks into the encirclement, Soviet planes dropped thousands of leaflets into the Kessel. They promised the Germans safety, food, and medical attention if their commander conceded defeat. But the message ended with a chilling warning. If surrender was rejected, everyone inside the Kessel would be wiped out.
Once again, Hitler refused to allow his troops to surrender. So on the 10th of January 1943, the Soviets began the final operation to destroy all German troops that remained inside the Kessel.
Frozen, weakened by starvation and exhausted, the Sixth Army was no longer capable of defending itself properly. The only chance of escape was to make it to one of the two airstrips inside the Kessel and try to squeeze onto a plane. This is all that remains of Gumrak airfield, just west of Stalingrad. It's difficult to imagine the scene of chaos and desperation here in the new year of 1943. Everyone knew that each plane leaving here could be the last, and people were crushed in the fight to get aboard. Some desperate men even clung to the wings of taxiing aeroplanes, but as the pilots accelerated, one by one these men tumbled to the ground. For 2 more weeks, German troops inside the Kessel were pushed relentlessly back. The German airfields were soon overrun. Now there was no way out. Survivors were chased into the freezing ruins of Stalingrad. Among them was General Paulus. Paulus moved his headquarters to the basement of this shop in the city centre. He was now a broken man.
But Hitler wanted to portray Paulus and his Sixth Army as martyrs fighting to the death for Germany. And on the 31st of January 1943, Paulus received a message from Hitler promoting him to Field Marshal. No German Field Marshal had ever given himself up alive. And Hitler, no doubt, expected Paulus to commit suicide.
Within hours, Soviet troops had surrounded Paulus. Trapped in his basement, he made his decision. At 7:45 a.m. on the 31st of January 1943, Paulus chose not to commit suicide, but to surrender himself. Under armed guard, he was taken to a house on the outskirts of the city. 2 days later, after 5 months of horror, the fighting finally ended.
The Battle of Stalingrad was over. The whole world had witnessed a catastrophic defeat for Hitler's Nazi empire. And for the Führer himself, it was a personal disaster. He'd been totally committed to victory and was now utterly humiliated.
The aura of invincibility that had surrounded Hitler's army for so long was gone forever. In Stalingrad alone, 150,000 German troops had been killed. And 90,000 more were now beginning the long, slow journey to Soviet prison camps. Only 5,000 of them would ever return home.
In this grassy field, on the outskirts of the city, was one of the last German command posts. It still bears the scars of battle. More than 60 years later, the evidence is everywhere. These are just some of the thousands of bones discovered every year. A gruesome reminder of the horrific death toll.
Although his city lay in ruins, Stalin had won. But victory had come at a terrible price. The Soviets lost more men and women during the Stalingrad campaign than Britain and America lost during the entire war. This park is a monument to the defenders of Stalingrad, who ultimately helped change the course of the Second World War. Stalingrad was the battle that marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany.
Over the next 2 years, Stalin chased Hitler's armies all the way back to Berlin. In 1945, the Nazi empire was finally crushed between Britain, America, and their allies in the West, and Soviet forces in the East. The irony is that Stalin went on to replace one oppressive empire in Eastern Europe with another of his own. And the Soviet Union, which had been the West's ally during the Second World War, became its bitter opponent during the Cold War, which lasted another half-century.
Next time, we bring you the battle for Korea. I'll be describing the enormous shifts in the fortunes of the United Nations allies as they fought against a communist enemy.
And I'll be telling the story of what it was like for the ground troops when these two very different armies clashed.
In 3 long years of war, one of the most decisive battles was fought here. It was the Battle of the Imjin River.